an empath. That negative energy coming at me is like knives. It's awful. And so I did some work around that. And then they settled into my mind, that knowing that they've told me from many, many, many different perspectives that someone, when we look at the perpetrator and we look at the victim, we should look at them with the same love and compassion, because the perpetrator chose, because of great love for you, for me, for whoever the victim is, whatever, they agreed to lower their beautiful vibration that's connected to source energy, to lower it and lower it and lower it to the point that they will do these things that will benefit us, because it gives us the opportunity to learn and to learn the life lessons that we're supposed to learn. And I know for me, I know one of my life lessons is that it is okay to protect yourself, that it is okay to not be vulnerable to other people and their stuff, but that I can just shower it with love, and that she can have her experience and she can be as hateful as she wants to be. I don't need to take it on, and I don't need to respond to it. Now, I'm not saying that I've been battling ever since it happened. My head goes into that, fighting with her and wanting to say this, and I wish I'd said that, to back to center again, back to the love, back to peace, and then it goes back over again, then it comes back. And that's been what I've been dealing with for about 24 hours now, because it was upsetting, and I'm human, you know.
Right.
But when that settled into my heart, that if I could look at it as it's her gift to me, and that she has suffered in this lifetime, legitimately suffered in this lifetime. This has not been a joyful path. I don't think she's had a minute of joyful path in her lifetime. And it's sad. And I've had so much joy and so much love in my lifetime. And, you know, and so it shines that light on that, and it just gives you that perspective. So to go back to the question about Carol, I would say that the answers are going to come from the knowing that we choose our stuff in this lifetime. There's a lot of things that we've made it, they call it pre-birth agreements. And, you know, the little, you know, I think that I use this example with Graham, we were talking about one day. I said, when your heart breaks for that baby that is born addicted to heroin, and it suffers, so that baby suffers and sometimes dies because of that fucking drug that the mother was on, and how much that wells in our heart and brings up so many feelings. But when you can move yourself to the perspective that that baby chose that mother, knowing exactly what was going on, and came forward with the intention that maybe this experience is going to be the thing in this mother's life, or is it going to be a co-creative experience that then creates whatever down the road for whoever that they come in contact with. Mm-hmm. They know this stuff. They know it. They choose it when they come forward, and they choose it out of love. So if her son is challenged with something like schizophrenia, that is something that is, and you know, that is something that was chosen for the life lessons for all that he will come in contact with. It's a hard thing to wrap your mind around, but it is, when you get there, it is comforting. It doesn't change the reality that today he's doing this terrible behavior, and it's difficult and it's painful and it's whatever. It doesn't change that, but it gives you a perspective that takes some of the pitying away and that awful victim feeling. Mm-hmm. This is happening to us, and you know, those kinds of things. So yeah, it's pretty deep.
did you ever, have you gone around the question of, like, I can understand exactly what you're saying, and I'm agreeing with it, but there's always a but.
Okay.
I heard myself say but.
Yeah.
Okay, like with the Christ story, and I'm just trying to weigh here, or get the truth of it. Like, we believe that Christ came, he died for us.
Right.
Okay, have you tied that in? Have you like, I'm just saying, okay, where does that fit in? Because like, okay, you've probably got the idea.
That is an incredibly good question. And it is a question that I have spent time thinking about. And I think I'm probably only would be able to give a partial answer, but I'm going to give the answer that I have. And that is, hey, we're already into the deep weeds. Good morning, my darlings.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm just answering. Jeannie asked about Christ and about. Were you able to hear that?
Yep, we were just getting ourselves situated. Sorry.
I think that throughout history, there have been highly evolved and enlightened individuals that have walked this earth and brought forward teachings. I think that Christ was, or that Jesus was, a man. I do not believe the story. I think that that's a story of being born to a virgin and all that. I think that he, I think that there are lots and lots of threads of truth that haven't been contaminated within the Bible that are Jesus's teachings. But I think that it was an incredible tool that man grabbed a hold of and perverted and changed and added and took away and morphed into a thing. And I'm going to say that the thing is religion. So they morphed this into a thing that helped to control the masses. And that only the very smartest and most educated, I mean, you think of a few thousand years ago, people were educated. The masses were not educated. The educated people were the select few that got to actually sit with the scrolls and the things that were passed down and passed down. And so in order to control, I mean, I'm going to use a beautiful example of the whole Christian teaching around suicide. This is a great example because if you have been taught and trained that if I take my own life, I'm going to hell, then working on making the Colosseums and being in slavery is better than being in hell, because at least you get to die and go to heaven. And that's what they told you. But can you imagine the amount of people that would be living in those kinds of lives that would just have taken their own life? It was so unbearable, they would have killed themselves. So let's make this deity be a vengeful and a hateful deity, and let's teach the masses just enough to keep them in line. And I know that sounds like a conspiracy theory, and it sort of kind of is, I guess, but there's nothing in that statement that my guides are making me feel is not accurate. And the other thing, Jeannie, in the same way that when you and I and Graham and Sylvia and Carol, we joined together and we could feel that spirit. We talked about that feeling of that love. When Jesus taught, that spirit that is part of all of us moved in people. So that, just like me as a little girl, that was my truth. If I feel this beautiful, I mean, even as I start to speak of it, I feel the energy move in my body, that beautiful unconditional love. So that was my truth. And if that is true, if when the minister talked about Jesus's, love for us and the compassion, and that the Father loves us just like he loves Jesus, and I could feel that swelling, well, then shoot, the other shit that he's saying up there is probably true too, that all my Catholic friends are going to hell, and all my, Jehovah Witness friends are going to hell. And then because I loved him, I had great suffering. My
Mhm.
best friend was a Catholic, and I would suffer thinking that she was going to go to hell. And it was awful. It was terrible. It was, and it didn't resonate, but that is how we can get sucked down. Somebody recently in a conversation asked me about cults. We were talking about cults, and I said, I have very little doubt that, I don't really know because I don't watch the news, but that in the beginning of the journey of the individual that then develops this cult, they probably were just like me. They probably had an awakening and got a connection, and had good intentions for a while until their ego, because people hold you on a pedestal. I'm very careful about my ego, I'm telling you, because I know that's possible. It isn't, and I say this in my heart every time I have any kind of it's not me. It is, I'm a radio. I'm a radio, and God's coming through it. It is not me. Kelly is just to use a Baptist term, a dirty, rotten sinner. And I can own that. I'm a human, and I keep myself very much in check around that. But can you see how it would happen? You have an interaction, and someone touches something within your spirit that moves you and connects you and helps you to open. Well, my goodness, then they must be this higher whatever. It's not, because it's all of us can do this. All of us have this ability.
Well,
Go ahead.
It's learning how, it's learning how to develop it, because that's what I'd like. I'd like to be able to, connect.
Maybe that's my next book, because I don't know. I share, because Sylvia and Graham both really would love to have a more practical experiences. That's a good way to say it, like to be able to, like, Graham has wonderful experiences, but they more happen to him, not because he says, I want this
Right.
now.
Right.
It's when it happens,
Right.
I get that, and I share things, but maybe there is information out there. There are people who teach this. There are people who have a structured, like, there's lots of stuff out there. I haven't developed anything yet because I'm too unsure about it myself. I just realized in the last week that not everybody truly understands what it means to nurture someone. That I'm using this term with a belief in my mind that everyone gets that and knows what it means to nurture something. They don't. And I just have figured that out. I had a beautiful conversation with someone yesterday, and she has no idea what that means in practical terms. So, I mean, I'm figuring once you understand that, then you know how to talk to it differently. You know what I mean? You know how to say it in a little different way. So, yeah. Any other of those questions, Jeannie?
Oh, I could go on all day, but I'm not gonna sabotage.
Oh, there's no
what's happening.
sabotage.
No, but if necessary, like I'll get together with you on a one-on-one.
Oh, I certainly invite that. And I have, just like with Graham and Sylvia, I just have regular phone conversations with people. It's like you and Carol do,
Right.
exploring, because when, as a teacher, I think you knew that I taught nurse assisting for years. As a teacher, I know that when you are asked to explain what you know, it solidifies it in your brain. So I would say to my kids, demonstrate to me how to make that bed and tell me why you're doing what you're doing. And that would, then I, as the teacher, I'd figure out what they don't know. Well, it's the same way. This is beneficial to me because I call it the pixie dust treatment, when I just kind of sometimes I just get hit with knowings about stuff that change the way I see the world, but I haven't had an opportunity to break it down into all the pieces. So like, I don't believe anyone has actually said, how do you look at Jesus? Because I still love Jesus. I mean, Jesus came through.
Yeah.
I love Jesus and what he brings into me and into my vibration when I think about that. But do I believe the story? But do I really give a shit? Is it all that important? I mean, really, is it all that important? Not to me. That's why I say I need Sylvia and Graham to be the Jerry to my Esther, because I don't have those questions. I love the film. Because I don't have that need. Even when I was in, I was that fundamental Baptist up until when Mike and I almost broke up because in his mind, because of religion, I turned to my religion because I wasn't happy. And he can, when we really talk about it, he knows that. But because I hadn't done anything to make him unhappy up until that point. But because I was so unhappy, I really turned. And when I turned, it was the Pentecostal church. Now you take Baptist and put it on steroids and you get yourself a Pentecostal. And
I've been to one.
Pentecostal churches.
I've been to one.
yeah, I mean, and you can feel it. I could feel it.
Yeah,
Oh.
when I went,
Oh.
like I was feeling, I was feeling, should I be here? Should I be here? And then they started singing in the spirit. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, amen, sister.
I stood and just looked around, and it was just so
Jeannie,
beautiful.
when you're thinking about developing this, that's what you're developing. To consciously be able to think of whatever you need to think of that makes you go, and even as I just did that breath, I felt the goose pimples up my arms. That's it. When we're talking about it, connecting to it, that's the it.
Yeah, I've had some moments where you just know that you're connecting. When my sister passed, she said, before she passed, she said, now, when I've gone, look for feathers. And I have a picture because she gave me my mother's ring. And she said to her daughter, Laura, help, I want to give Jean Mom's ring. And Laura said, oh, Mom, we were going to get it all cleaned and put in a box. And Mari said, no, I don't want to wait. I want to give it to her now. So she said, so Laura went and got some Vaseline or something to help her get it off. Yeah. And then, she just picked up a cloth and was just, wiping it all off. And she went to hand it to her mother to give to me. And hanging on to the ring was a feather.
Oh my God.
We had no idea where it came from. But she sat there and she says, oh my gosh. She said, I don't want to move, but I want a picture. So I ran and got her phone and took a picture, and I got my phone and took a picture. And then she handed it to her mom to give to me. And that's how I got it, still with the feather on it.
Isn't that wonderful?
And then when my granddaughter was going through a really rough time, and they didn't know, like she had something wrong with her neck. She had a growth, and I was just, those times where you just say, God, just give me something. And he gave me not, Psalm 91. And it's the first time, I mean, I've read the Psalm before, but the verse in it, verse 4, it says, he will cover you with his feathers. And it was, whoa, like, okay. And she went through her operations, but she's doing really well and didn't need to have her neck fused or anything. But yeah, so there are those moments that
Yeah.
you just
Gave me a beautiful download where I just saw, I think I said it last time, I saw every religion. It was like they just flashed a zillion miles an hour in my mind, showing me, all these temples and churches and whatnot. And they said, it's all right. It's all correct. When that individual, through whatever path they are on, lifts their heart with love, that is the correct path. It doesn't matter if I'm in the Baptist church. I had a beautiful, beautiful lady who is a practicing, is it Mormon that is the Latter-day Saints?
yes.
Okay. She's a practicing Mormon. Her husband is a deacon in the church, but she has this open belief over here. But she also, her life is built around this church. And we had a one-on-one, and she needed to connect to her son, and we did. And then we just had a beautiful conversation about, you don't have to get all hung up on all the details.
No.
If your heart is blessed by going to a particular church, go to the church.
Yeah, no, it's taken a long time to come to that, but I realize, I think we do a disservice when you're putting burdens on people, saying, if you don't get out and preach and share, then that person's going to hell. I don't think so. No, I think, like it's your heart. It's not the religion, it's
It's the fabric of love.
exactly, yeah. But
Love,
but in coming to that, that's what, like I'm just trying to think, like, I believe that Christ died for the world, but he died for the world. He died for everybody, and I'm coming to the conclusion, whether people recognize it or not, it's done, and it was done in love, and that counts for everybody. It's not just for those who have heard. It's
but
so
so was Martin Luther King. So did, I'm not good at coming up with those names, but there's lots of beautiful, loving souls that lost their life because of their beliefs and their, and because they lost their life, they have been for the world, because they've been talked about and, taught about, and, whatever. So, I mean, it is a big understanding,
right.
because we are born to this earth taking on duality. And because we take on duality, everything has to fall into a category. It is up or down, good, bad, pure, evil, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that is our world. That is the world that we are living in. And when oh my gosh, when you said, Graham, about to be able to get rid of judgment, every day I ask for help to not judge.
Yeah.
I don't want to judge every friggin' thing. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge the chair as being a good chair or a bad chair. I want it to just be.
Right.
And, And, but the human in me, you know, keeps me in this space, and I'm going to be in that space until I'm not, until I'm able. Uh, Another one of my tribe, Karen, I think you guys have heard me speak of. She loves to send me links, and I love them. She'll watch a YouTube thing that really resonates with her, and she'll share it with me. It saves me hunting. I love it. So I'll click on it. Well, recently she's been sending me this guy, and I can't think of his name because he just doesn't resonate with me.
Mm.
It's like he's talking a different language. I can't hear him.
Yeah.
Because honestly, because I think that his frequency is so above mine. Honestly, I believe that's why. Because I think he truly has experienced a death of the ego, and he is just so being that it was like he's talking, and I'm thinking to myself, my God almighty, it's like he's talking another language. I can't hear him. I can't, the words are not coming into my head. And I just knew then at that moment, I've experienced that same thing with Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle, sometimes I can listen to Eckhart and it lands right into my heart. And sometimes I'm like, what is he talking about? I can't hear him. It's like, because it's just going whoosh, whoosh. That's just the reality. That's why, thankfully, that's why we're so blessed and so fortunate to have the internet now, so that, you think about me as a seeker, as a kid and as a teenager and a young adult, the only thing I had was what was available in my community, which was a Baptist church. If it had been Pentecostal, if it had been Methodist, if it had been whatever, that's what I would have gravitated to. But now we get to actually feel frequency of things and know that we're being guided. When we feel that, oh my God, I know she's telling the truth. I know it's right. And it doesn't have to be that this is right and that over there is wrong. This can just be right for us in this moment. And that's the beauty of it. It's sharing and building each other up in our lifetime on our paths. And that's what people joining together does. I will tell you that it was a lonely life for me when I let that all go and then moved forward with my own spirituality, searching, finding whatever I could find. The first thing I read was the Communication with God books. That was the first introduction into channeling. And then I was introduced by my guides steering me. I bought a book, and the book had a CD in it. And that CD, when I heard Esther Hicks speak those words,
Mm.
I knew it was true. And it
Mhm.
was the first time I felt truth.
Mhm.
But then I was still very alone, and I was still not, what's the word? Because the Esther Hicks, the Abraham Hicks stuff is all about the law of attraction. It's all of Jerry's intention. He wanted to know, how do we create our own reality?
Mhm.
How does it work? He wanted to learn the nuts and bolts of how do you create what you want in this world. And that is the energy that came forward as Abraham. That is their teachings. I'm not all about what I'm going to create.
Mhm.
I'm all about what I'm feeling. That I wanted that connection. I wanted to pray. I wanted to pray. And under that teaching, I felt like I wasn't doing the right thing by praying. I felt like because if I'm the creator of my own world, who the fuck am I praying to? So I've had some real years of turmoil. I never not with that loving connection, but disconnected because I would want to reach out and I just didn't know. And because of the humanness and the one thing is right and one thing is wrong, I was so afraid of doing it wrong that I just I didn't know how to pray. My girlfriend, my bestie here, whose name is Jeanette, she does not believe that there is any external forces working in our life. She and I believe the same friggin' thing, But her direction of it is there's nothing external working. It all comes from within me because I am God. I am one with God. I believe that too. But I believe that yes, I'm one with it all, but that my intention and my thoughts and my prayers and my whatever beingness calls in and allows the facilitation. She believes that how she thinks and how she feels facilitates. She just doesn't see it as bringing anything outside of herself in, and I do. Because I feel those energies change. I have an experience of it.
Mhm.
And so it is outside of me. It is one with me. I feel the oneness, but I just get that feeling of,
Can I add to that just from something you've said before?
yep,
As you're even saying that, I get the image of the pinpoint and the magnetic forces are coming in and going out. And so it's both. It's your it's like you're changing yourself to match something that's out there so that it all is working together. So it's in and out.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly.
well, I was thinking the same thing, when you're talking about praying. That's the same as you're sending when you were talking about we're all joined, and that web,
Right.
and that's sending, I think praying is actually sending your energy out, towards the
Absolutely.
person that you're praying for,
Yeah.
and that it makes a difference.
But I'm saying
And
it,
I think that from childhood that I could sit down in the energy of upset, angry, whatever. But when you can entertain the idea that every moment that has ever been and ever will be is now, that it's all now. And if you can entertain that moment, then it is, I don't know, it's just infinite possibilities of being able to connect. I had no thoughts, feelings, practice of ever when I prayed or when I meditated or whatever, ever bringing the words across all timelines, across all incarnations, in all realms. I feel like there's 4 things.
Oh.
Dimensions, all timelines, dimensions, realms, and incarnations. I had never used those terms. When I wrote my second book, the angels brought that in. The angels they said, when you are balancing your chakra, you reach across all dimensions, across all timelines, incarnations, and realms. And there's more, it just creates more power and a greater reach for your intention. And I mean, I don't get all hung up on it or anything, but there are times, and it's really cool when I do one-to-ones and I'm really shifting into that channeled thing. And there are times when they just bring it through. And that's when I know that the individual that I'm talking to has got stuff that's affecting today that's out here. Past lives, past dimensions, past timelines, who the fuck knows? And I mean, it isn't past, it's now. And so that if we with our knowing can reach it out or send it out and bring it back, that sign, just like Graham did it beautifully, that infinite flow, the infinity sign that is flowing through our chakra system into Mother Earth, up and out to the cosmos and down and into Mother Earth. And we are that place where it crosses. And that energy is flowing in all directions at all times, all the time. And we are the center of it. And that was right. That is the synopsis of what the angels brought through. Jeannie, I want to share with you just because I don't think I have. I think I have with Sylvia and Graham, but when that happened, when I was writing my second book, and I thought my second book was going to pick right up where my first book left off. They had me, and it was their idea to end my first book like a cliffhanger. Light language came through. What the hell is light language? How's this going to affect the future? How's it going to help people? Blah, 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 blah. The end. Stay tuned kind of deal. So I really expected my second book to pick up where light language, where it ended, and then explaining the experiences from there. During that week, I pressed the button and got the email that my book was live on Amazon. That was like on a Saturday night. Monday morning, I started in book number 2. And I failed in that undertaking. And so the next time I sat down to write, I started again through this direction, and it went to shit again. And I started and failed probably 3 or 4 times before I was able to surrender my own expectation. What I thought was going to happen. I'm a girl that gets shit done. It's like, I thought this is what we were going to do. I had to let that go and be like, okay, what is it you want me to do? And then they told me they wanted this to be a real-time book. So I would have no idea in the world what I was going to write about. I would sit down, I would open, I'd meditate, and I would ask for a title. And I would get a title to my chapter, and I'd put that in, and then I would sit with it, and they would give me clarity about previous teachings around this title, and I would write from Kelly's perspective. And sometimes I'd be writing along and my jaw would start to shiver, and I would say, oh, the guides want to talk. And I would put what the guides said right into my book. So this is how it was going along. Each day it was over the holidays. So my first book was written completely in 4 weeks. My second book took from, I think it was in November through to December. I think it was March when I finally got it done and got it out onto Amazon. So a few months. I sit down and I start this download, and they tell me to get my book, to go get this particular book. And I go and get it. It's a book I'd bought 25 years ago, never had read. And it was a book about the angels of the chakra system. And they said, write the names in your document. That's how they said it to me. So I typed the names into my document. And then I said, so now what? And they said, each angel is going to come through and give you a chapter for your book. And I burst right into tears. I just started sobbing, because who the hell am I to think I can do that? I had never brought, I can't say I'd never brought through individuals, because when I read my first book, I realized I did, but I was never comfortable bringing through like what we did last week, and me shifting from Jacob to Sarah to blah, 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 all of that. That's very new. This is new in this month, in the last 4 weeks.
We looked through your book, and Sarah is the chakra for crown. She's the angel. She's the Sarah. Remember how Sarah came through? We were just wondering if it was the angel in your book, because we recognized that there was an angel Sarah.
It's not up here though. If it is Sarah, it's number 1, I think. You're right. I think it's either
That's
number
fine.
1 or
Sorry,
number
I
2.
could be wrong. I just can't remember. But
You know,
anyway, Sarah was the angel in your book.
I didn't realize that. That could have been. We could ask today if she comes through. But
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
anyway, I just wanted to share that with Jeannie about how humbled I was and how overwhelmed I was, and then each angel built on what the last one said, and gave the end result was the knowing of that flow, that energy flow, and the knowing of the power of it, that energy, that it goes into and through the individual chakras. I had no I thought no validity about the chakra system. I thought it was okay. Never had done any work with the chakra system. It just never resonated. I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. It's just a whatever thing. But it isn't, obviously, because the angels said, nope, you need to understand that your chakra system is a gift from creation to help the human navigate this world and navigate our emotions. And so to utilize our chakra system is powerful. And I'm just beginning to figure it out. Yeah, for sure.
Question into it.
Huh?
When your jaw is vibrating, is that always lacrosse? Is that
Or is that just
It's not. Lacrosse is my they are there you go. They are the team that has been with me all my life. They were the nuts and bolts of my team because we all have a team. The energy that identified as lacrosse was that energy that was with me prior to birth and will be with me when I die. When we sit and connect and have questions and we set our intention for our highest good, whatever energy, I explained this a little bit to Jeannie this morning, whatever energy is needed comes in. So the Jacob energy, they said, was an energy that was much more familiar with you, right? Graham, isn't that what they said? Wasn't it Jacob? When Jacob came through, they said we have been part of Graham's team. Did you catch that?
I didn't even catch that. So a lot of times when a lot of this is coming at me, I'm also going, what am I going to ask next? What am I going to last week was more of me going, okay, I got to really hold on to this because I got to ask these questions and stuff. But
so Jacob is part of Graham's team.
Jacob is part of Graham's team, and then they're part of what this is. And when you asked me something, Sylvie, I felt that humor from them because our humanness wants to try to help for it to be what the best that it can be, when all we really need to do is just get out of the way and allow it. It's going to be, they are utilizing the connection between us. And they described how it was like, remember that I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened to about the first 45 minutes and then I got bored. I didn't get bored, I got distracted. But I actually don't think either of those terms, they're saying that's not correct. I was led to watch what I watched. They said, for me to watch the different entities come through, I'm going to get too much in my head and it's going to cause me blockages because why did they act that way last week and now it's not coming through that way today? And it's going to be different every time.
Okay. I just wasn't on your face.
It is. It's not. It's my confirmation that I'm connected to non-physical energy.
That's
all. It's my physical confirmation.
Cheek. Jacob's not like forehead. Like it doesn't give you a different.
Not that I've been able to identify. I definitely feel them differently. They're like, sometimes it'll be my hands or my feet. They'll just grab my hands and feet and I'll just feel this pressure like it in either one. And sometimes, like when I've practiced meditating a couple of times since Monday, that I actually tried to see if I could get into that space that I started down that road and then we pulled us back. That's because it's about my comfort. It's about whatever it's about. Who the fuck knows what it's about? but it
Oh.
is what it is. I'm trying, which the minute you start to try, you don't succeed, to find the path to that energy, that feeling. And let's see, I was going to tell you something that happened when I was meditating. Let me think. What was I going to tell you? I could feel them on my cheekbones. I felt a very strong pushing, almost like this on my cheekbones.
Hmm.
Whereas my jaw shivering is different. And I feel and hear a lot of times, but this was, I'm laying there and all of a sudden I am feeling like I've got like a mask pushing on my cheekbones. And I feel it all over. Jeannie, a couple times this morning, Jeannie said something and I just get that, that is source energy. The goose pimples and that's what I've said to you guys when you're trying to, and Jeannie, this is for you too. When you're trying to learn what the it is, you ask a question and you just sit and you feel, and it's like, just when I just did that, it's like I felt it turn up on this cheek. It's like, feel the energy up this side of my neck, that is them, and they're validating it by the shivering. That
Mhm.
is them interacting with you. I would lay in meditation like this and feel thumps on my fingers, like somebody thumped it.
See, I have such a hard time trying to meditate. Nothing happens.
I do get it. I get it. I did too, for years and years. I'd skip that section in the self-help book, the inner child work and self-love and meditation I'd skim over those. And now it's what I live. Now it's my journey on this planet.
It's like you threw out the map. Okay, so here's how you're going to get to the place. Throw the map out. Now I'll start. It's like, that's all the inner child and meditation work.
Yeah. And I just, yeah. I listened to a thing on Next Level Soul, and the guy said, your awakening happens from brokenness. And I thought, I have to make a comment to that. I never comment because I don't want anybody to fight with me and argue with me about anything. But I just felt like I had to. And so I just wrote, I'm a channel as well. And my awakening happened out of healing, not out of brokenness. When I healed the brokenness, that's when I awakened. So
I guess everyone gets it different though, too, eh?
I think so. I do. Yeah, I'm not saying what he said was, and I think I put that in I'm sure that was his path. I just wanted people to know that it doesn't have to be by brokenness, that it can be through healing.
I think mine came through laughter. It was like something said, "You're the joke in the punchline." It told me I'm both, and I was like, "That's funny." It just made me laugh. So for me, it's always like, even if I'm feeling like, oh, whatever, it usually tells me something funny to shake me out of it, and then just makes me start howling.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I don't
That's
get
me.
it like you. Like I can't call it. It just like zoop. Like my mom, she'll hear the singing out of nowhere or whatever it is. Sylvia you'll get things.
That only happened the once.
It's okay. You almost had your apartment set on fire and something woke you up to make you feel so that you can go up and stop the fire.
Yeah.
You've had weird things and dreams. You
Well,
get
and the feather, that's huge.
That's neat. Yeah.
Oh, the feather. You know, at the same visit, because I'd gone over to visit my sister before she passed. And I came in one morning and her daughter, Laura, was just, she was sitting beside her mom and the tears were just rolling down her cheeks. And I said, oh, Laura, I said, where are the feathers when you need them? And a few seconds after that, Mari said to her, Laura, could I have some water, please, love? And she turned around, picked up her water glass, went to give it to her mum, and there was a feather hanging on the bottom of the glass. And, you know, like you just looked at each other and, oh my God, it's okay. We're, you know, like we're not alone.
We are not alone. That's right. And
Yeah.
that's why my first book, the name of my first book is called Redefining Faith. And that's what this has been for me. It's redefining my faith, and that the faith that we all, or many have through different paths.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing.